Fabulous. Good. So nice to see you all, and thanks for coming along. So today is about how to grow your professional service firm, and we just had a bit of an intro of we're all in that sort of state where we're basically selling our expertise, and that's really what I would sort of glean from a professional service firm. Just so I know, I think most of you know me. I think Kelly, you've probably not met me beyond LinkedIn. So for the benefit of you, this is a bit about myself. So I've been coaching now for nearly 20 years. A bit scary. Before that, I was a chartered accountant, been in practice, been in industry. And over those years, I've helped sort of hundreds of businesses to grow, to go on this journey that you guys are on. Gavin started in April. He's just starting out on that journey. Many people are on this sort of roller coaster ride, these ups and downs, and that was the title of my first book, The Big Dipper, because being an accountant myself, having moved into a coaching business, which is a professional service, I was actually on that journey, those ups and downs of feast and famine, sometimes the emotional roller coaster that we all go on. But I joined Action Coach some 20 years ago, and the reason I sort of joined was because they had this model, this sort of system of actually taking a business from whatever level it is, but taking it forwards to build what we call a commercial, profitable enterprise that works without you, and that's really what is the essence of today is all going to be about. How do we move it forwards? But before we get into that, just want to have a little bit of a straw poll here. So, how many how many businesses do you think last over 10 years, 15 years or so? So of all the businesses that are set up, and there's roughly around about 600,000 businesses set up every year across the country. So it's quite a number. But how many of those that start now do you think will be still trading in 15 years' time? So any guesses on that?
It's a trick question. It was in the course overview. Is it something like 2%?
That's the next question, Eddie. So well
Ah,
read.
sorry. 10%.
It's about 20%.
Okay.
So 20% of businesses will survive about 15 years. So you can see the big fallout is in the first few years. There's a big drop off, 20-30% sort of don't make it past 1 year. And I put that down to people have these ideas, I'm going to do this, they start it, and then it's hard work and it's easy to go back and get a job than it is to carry on. But for you guys, that have been trading for a number of years, you've been through that initial curve. So we're sort of, round about here somewhere. And what we want to make sure is in 10, 15 years time that, we're still going and, a lot stronger than we are at the moment. So the next question I was going to ask, but Eddie's answered it. So how many companies actually get beyond that £1 million turnover? And I didn't believe this stat, so I went on to Companies House, pulled every single company that's currently trading to actually look at this, and these were the stats that I actually found from doing it myself. So over 75% of businesses, limited companies in the UK, actually trade at less than 250,000 turnover, or employ generally less than two or three people. Around 20% are in this sort of middle ground, this 250 to a million, and only 4% get above a million turnover. And if you were looking at 5 million plus, it's less than 1%. So you can see that even surviving 10, 15 years is no guarantee to actually what I would call being a successful business, which is, that commercial profitable enterprise that works without you. So only 5% of all businesses that are currently going of the, businesses that are actually existing, so they're the ones that actually lasted 10 to 15 years, only 5% of those will actually build, real substance within their businesses. So it's a bit of a scary fact. It was the reason I got into this because my father, he bought a business from a man in a pub and traded for 15 years, and his business failed after 15 years. 15 years of hard work, blood, sweat, and tears. You know, he sort of loved doing what he did, but God bless him, he didn't No one really told him on day one what he needed to do to build it into a bigger firm. And those ones often you see that do achieve more than 1 million often get there by luck rather than judgment anyway. So the key to this is looking and thinking, why don't businesses grow? Why is this sort of, do 80% of businesses go bust? Why do only 5% get beyond that £1 million turnover? And I call this the growth myth, that when I speak to people and say, well, what is stopping you from growing? They generally give me a number of things, but three main ones that actually come out regularly on this. So if you look at thinking about your businesses, what would you say are the three top things that are stopping you from growing? So Gavin, let's look at you for one.
Yeah. So for me, at the moment, is converting those potential clients into actual clients.
Okay, so there's a bit of sales, so
that's it.
sales conversion for you.
Yeah.
Okay, yep. What else? What about you, Eddie? What would be your top one?
So Martin, it's a very different problem to Gavin's. I've reached capacity. I've run out of week,
Okay,
and
yep.
I've more business than I can service.
Cool. Okay, so yours will be on this list. Yep, good. Natasha?
I think lack of sales knowledge within the team.
Lack of sales from the team. Yeah, cool. Kelly?
I find because it's holistic health, people have to pay for it. It's trying to get the importance of people realizing that, maybe the NHS is failing them. And there's another area that is certified that people can actually pay for this, but it's generally a wee bit more expensive.
So it's a sales thing. Same as Gavin. It's that sort of, how do I convert people? How do I show them the benefits of actually using myself?
And getting enough people to keep going on as well. It's all right getting people in, but then
more people
need them to keep the return is less.
So if I was to sort of survey 100 people, then 90% would come down to one of these three things. A lack of cash to invest in growth. That's generally one that will stop a business, or belief that stop a business. People, I can't get the people. Maybe that's the clients. I can't get enough clients in, or I can't get enough staff to actually do the work. So maybe Eddie's you're fitting into that one. And then the customers, which is the sales side of things. I can't get the sales. So those really, for every single business, these are the three sort of the lifeblood of a business that's looking to grow. It needs money to invest, it needs the people to come on board, and it needs the customers to allow it to grow. Okay. I mean, there's plenty of others. People say time management, but I would say that's a people thing, that we don't have enough people, and that's why we run out of time, and we don't get people because we don't have cash. So there's many reasons people sort of say, oh, well, I can't grow and I can't actually achieve this. And, for me, that's the myth. Okay. The myth is it's somebody else's fault. It's some external factor that's stopping my business from growing. The biggest barrier to growth of any business, from where we are at this stage, in that sort of startup phase, from that sort of one-man band, two-man band, is you guys. Okay, the biggest barrier to growth is the business owner, because what got you to here isn't necessarily going to get you to the next level. So in order for any professional service person to take it to the next level, they have to start thinking differently to the thought process that they did when they started the business. That's why I say to you, Gavin, this is good for you early on, because if you can start thinking this way before you've even done your first year, then you're going to be ahead of the game. And one of the key things to this is people that start businesses, any shape or size, but I think it's swayed a little bit more from professional service people, is they don't think big enough when they start the business. They don't think about why they're starting a business. Most people start a business because they have to. or because they're forced to. They've been made redundant, or they couldn't get a job and they thought, oh, I'll start my own business, or they just sort of got fed up with working for an idiot, another business owner, another company that they just said, yeah, actually, I can do this better. So they stop working for an idiot and they start working for a complete lunatic, which is themselves, because at least their boss has a number of years of experience in that firm. When you start on your own, you have no experience at all. So you're coming into this cold. And I always wonder whether I should use the Donald Trump quote here. But you can see from what he's been through in the last sort of 4 or 5 years, or even the last 8 years, this guy does think big. Elon Musk thinks big. His goal is to get somebody onto Mars. You can't really think much bigger than that. And a lot of that is, sometimes you have to be a little bit crazy to be an entrepreneur, but we need an essence of that even down at sort of what I would say normal level in order to move us forwards. So the first thing that you've got to really get into your mind is, why are you in business? Why did you start this business in the first place? What is the goal for you as a business owner? Okay, because you've gone from being employed, where you're helping somebody else achieve their goals, to owning your own business, which is here to help you achieve your goal. So the best way to think about it is, look, this is where we are now. At some point in the future, unfortunately, with all the best treatment in the world, Kelly, yeah, we're all going to die. Okay, now we hope it's going to be far enough in the future that we've got a good life ahead of us, but this is the inevitable. So there's only 2 inevitabilities in life: death and taxes, and even taxes, as Gavin will tell you, are optional for most people. So we've got to be thinking between now and by the time we sort of pop our clogs, there might be a legacy that we want to leave behind. If you've got kids, you've got family, you want to say, I want to build something to leave behind for that generation. Or I want to create some wealth to leave behind for that generation. But at some point during that process, there's this thing called retirement. Okay, now I think it's the wrong word, because it's people sort of say, well, I don't want to retire. And a lot of professional service people I speak to, they love doing what they do, and the thought of retirement and sitting there at home, mowing the garden, reading the paper, doing Sudoku all day does not appeal to them whatsoever. So I look at retirement differently, is to say retirement is the date where you get to choose. You get to choose whether you work or you don't work. So you've built up enough wealth in order to actually sit there and go, do you know what? If I wanted to stop tomorrow, yeah, I could. I could go travel in the world. I could have the lifestyle I want. I don't have to work to actually make money. And what I've got therefore is assets that have been built up that I can live off the rest of my life. Now, this does not mean a business where I have to go in and do 40 hours a week in order to charge that to clients to actually make money. This is about having those assets built up, an amount of money, and invested in either property, in stocks and shares and investments, or in business. You can have multiple businesses or one business that you invest in, but the key to this is you don't have to work in it. Because if you have to work in it, then it's a job and you get paid to do a job. And what we're trying to build here is that financial freedom. So the founder of Action Coach many, many years ago started this journey when he was 16 years old. Okay, so he started with this in mind. So he wanted to be financially free and the ability to retire at the age of 24. So he set himself a goal of, well, he's probably 18 by the time he did that. So 6 years, he set a goal that I want to be financially free at the age of 24. He failed. He didn't achieve it. Yeah, he was 25. I learned this when I was 38. Okay, so a little bit later in life, I had a little bit more, to lose. Good thing when you're 18, you've got nothing to lose. If it all goes wrong, well, what the hell? It doesn't matter. When you are, when you're young, that's great. When you're older, you've got family, you've got houses, you've got, your mortgages, you've got all these other things. So your risk profile tends to reduce a little bit, but it doesn't mean that you can't achieve those goals in 5 to 10 years. He did it in 6. The average for millionaires is about 10 years. Okay, so yes, if you've got 10 years ahead of you, then you can still do this. You can still build significant wealth to actually have the lifestyle that you want. So what we've got to be able to do then is know how to calculate this. How do we know what that number is? What is that goal that we're working towards in order to be financially free from this? So the first thing to think about is, what is that level of passive income that you want? So if you've got a pen and paper, please write this down. You don't have to share your numbers, but please write this down as I go through these calculations. And we do have an accountant with us today, so he can audit all these numbers and make sure that what I come up with are correct. So I hope you got your calculator to hand, Gavin.
Yeah. You're just checking I'm listening, aren't you? That's all.
Okay, so let's think about what your number is, but I'm going to use a reasonably simple number, which if you speak to most investment IFAs, that they will say that if you've got an income of £100,000 a year, then you can be very comfortable. Okay, so if you're in, say, that retired, but you don't have to work, and you've got £100,000 coming in per year, then you will live a pretty good life going forwards. Okay, you can go on holiday when you want to go on holiday. You can buy what you want to go and buy. You won't have to scrimp and save if you've got that level of income coming in. Some people will say, I couldn't even spend that amount of money. So if it's more than that, you can put a bigger figure. If it's less than that, you can put a smaller figure. But I'm going to go with 100,000 for ease. So in order to get 100,000 of income, how much do you think you need to have invested in order to generate 100,000 of income? If we invest in stocks and shares, not too aggressive, but something that gives us a good return on investment. I'm taking out inflation from this because inflation just causes more issues. So just a pre-inflation figure. So Eddie, any ideas?
So I'm thinking you're going to go for about 6%.
I'm going to go much easier, 5%, because it's
all right. Easier maths. Yeah,
where my maths goes.
That.
But if you look at, I've got property portfolios, they average about 5%. My stocks and shares, I like to try and get a little bit more, so we're about the 8 to 10% on stocks and shares. But again, I'm in fairly aggressive funds. If you want to be sort of fairly safe funds, you're going to be around about 5%. So we're going to use, whatever number you came up with for your passive income, mine was 100,000. I've got to take and divide that by 5%. Okay, so Gavin is our mathematician here. So taking 100,000 divided by 5% gives us, how much do I need invested?
2 million.
2 million quid. Okay.
Yeah.
So I need £2 million invested, in order to achieve that. So I've got to build sort of my financial wealth pot to the tune of 2 million by the date that I want to be financially free. That's why I say, if you say 10 years, that is doable. If you said I want that in 2 years' time from a scratch, it's going to be a lot more difficult. Okay, so but if you say 10 years to build 2 million pot, that is achievable. I mean, it's going to take some work, but it can be done. If you want 50,000, then it's £1 million. Okay, so it might be an easy one to work towards. So therefore, you've got to think, okay, if I want to make 2 million and my business is my vehicle, so I don't have properties and I'm not really bothered about the stock exchange and other investments, my business is my vehicle, then I need to generate a business that is worth £2 million in 10 years' time. Okay, so I'm going to be able to sell for £2 million. Now, the average business, small business, will trade between 3 and 5 times its profit. So I'm going to say 4 times profit just for ease on this one. Okay, again, to keep the math simple. So if I want to sell my business for £2 million, how much profit do I need to make in my business, Gavin, in order to get a 4 times multiple?
Sorry, I was on mute. What was it you want to sell it for again? 1 million?
So I want to sell it for 2 million to
2
make my
million, yeah.
100,000. Okay, so I need profits therefore of
8 million. Oh no, sorry, I've my bad. 500 million, 500,000, isn't it?
500,000. Okay,
Yeah,
so if I make
sorry.
500,000, I multiply that by 4, that gives me my 2
Yeah.
million. Okay, again, whatever your numbers are, take a 0 off, or divide it by 2 or 4, whatever that might be. Okay, so for me, I'd have to build a business that makes £500,000 profit per year. In order to achieve that, I've then got to know how my business model works, to know what level of turnover, what level of sales I need to generate in order to make £500,000. Okay, now most professional service businesses should be making between 20 and 40% net profit. Okay, that should be the target of a professional service business. So if I looked at that and said, right, probably 3 times, so 30%, let's say, yeah, my turnover therefore needs to be 1.5 million. So the first question I've got to look at is saying, and if I wanted to, convert that back to a number of people, and it does depend on what sector you're in, but my rule of thumb is 3 times. Okay, so sorry, my rule of thumb is 100,000 per person, or 3 times their salary. So if I pay somebody £30,000 to do the job, 3 times their salary is around about 100,000. Okay, if you're in a high-tech industry and you're paying people 75,000, then each person needs to be bringing in about 250,000 pounds. Okay, that's just the simple calculation on that. So for me, I would need to have 3 times my profit in turnover. So I'd need to build a 1.5 million pound business that makes £500,000 profit a year that I could sell in 10 years' time. And that would be employing at that level 15 people. Okay, so the first thing I've got to think is that possible in my sector, in what I do? Is building a 1.5 million pound business with 15 people, is that doable? For you, Kelly, you might look at that and go, there's no way I'm going to do that in my business. Okay, and that's fine. It's not a problem with that. You might have to adjust your target figure, or you might have to do multiple strategies around your financial freedom. I'm going to make money and I'm going to invest in property or stocks and shares, or put it in, cryptocurrency, or whatever it is, but you need another strategy alongside your business strategy in order to achieve your goal. Otherwise, you're going to spend 15-20 years with a view of trying to achieve that, and it's never going to achieve it. Okay, because you never set out to build a business of 15 employees. So this is the first thing that is really, really key, is you've got to understand what the end game of this is. Just having a business that you enjoy doing is fine, and we should all do things that we enjoy doing, but a business is a vehicle to get you what you want in life. And if you don't provide for your financial freedom, no one else is going to. Because for many of us, many of you guys, you're not going to have a 65 retirement. It's going to be 70, 75 year retirement, because the state can't afford to pay people. So, and living off a sort of a basic old age pensioner's pension at £12,000, you can survive on it, but you're not going to have a lifestyle. You're not going to be able to do the things you want to do. So this is part of the purpose of our business, is to actually achieve that. Now, you might find, when you look at those numbers and go, well, I do want 100,000, or if it's 50,000, I need to build £1 million business, but, I don't, my business, or I don't really want to build a team of 15 people, 10 people. It's not why I came into this. I like the freedom of working for myself. So you have to decide which one of these boxes you're going to play in. Okay, and this is a concept drawn up by a guy called Robert Kiyosaki. He wrote a fantastic book, if you get a chance to read it, called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it was about his sort of proverbial, his metaphorical 2 dads. One was a teacher who said, get a job, stay in a job, work hard, and retire at your 65. And then his entrepreneurial dad, who said, start a business, build a business, do it in 10 years, sell up and live a great life. So he looked at this and said, if you're over this side of the quadrant, on the left-hand side, you're always trading time for money. So as an employee, when you have a job, you come to work, you give up 40 hours of your week, to actually earn a salary. As a self-employed person, so if you're on your own, running your own business, but it's just you're doing the same thing. You're giving up your time to earn money. And that's fine, as long as whatever you earn here, you've got to put something down into this iBox, this investor box, in order to provide for your financial freedom. So I know people that have got good jobs that invest into their pensions, they invest into the stock exchange, they invest into property, and they're building their nest egg through excess money that they make through having a good job and being highly skilled in what they do. For you guys, for us, we're on this sort of journey from, if I put my little ladder here, oops. Go back here. Let's try and draw something. Okay. So we're trying to build this ladder. Excuse my drawing because I'm using a mouse, to get from here to here. And this is what is the roller coaster. Is we try to sort of build a business, and we just get stuck. We never really sort of get far enough up the ladder to actually have this business that works without us, and therefore we're reinvesting in the business. We never put any money back into the investor box. So if you choose, to build a business, then you've got to commit to it. You've got to really go up this ladder, or I would say stay self-employed, stay small, keep it profitable, and put the profit you make here over here. Okay, you can't do this half-heartedly, because this is where most people crash and burn. This is why they don't survive 15 years, because they're so tired, of doing this and not building a business, that they never build this pot up, and therefore they just end up going, oh, it's not going to work, and they crash and burn. So you can get to where you want to be by having a job. You can get to owning a job. But if you want to make the big ticket items, it's going to be hard to make £1 million, or £2 million investment pot just having a job. You can do it, but it's going to be tough. But as a business owner, you could spend 10, 15 years building a business that you could sell for 2 million, and then it's a relatively easy move from this box into this box. Okay, but really, what I'm saying from here, it doesn't matter how you do it, but you've got to choose and play the game. If you're going to choose the employee game, play it well. If you're going to choose the self-employed game, play it well. If you're going to choose the business game, play that well. If you're going to choose the investor game, play that well. You can't play any of these games half-heartedly and expect to win. So there's a little formula for life success. So if you want to be successful on this journey, and you want to be successful at anything in life, then this formula must stack up. So, and it's B, so who do I need to be? What do I need to do equals what I want to have. So oops, you just switch my pen off. Oops. I'll switch my pen off, actually. Come over here. Okay. So our have is our dreams and our goals. So this is where I want to be. The B is my attitude, knowledge, and skills. So, I need to build my knowledge and my skills to actually get where I want to get to. And the do is what's my plan and what's my action. So all three need to be in place, but the most important of these is the have. Okay, it's this one here. So, because if we don't know where we're going to go, how do I know what I need to learn? And how do I know that I'm on track and doing the right things? And really, this is where coaching comes in. Is most people that I've coached over the years, when I've sat down with them, haven't got the real clarity around this. You know, they haven't really sat down and said, where do I want to be in 5-10 years time, and done the numbers and worked through, and what does my business need to look like in that time? And therefore they're just on this hamster wheel running round and round and round, thinking, well, if I do more, I'll get more. And that's not the case. You look at some of the most successful people out there, they are not busy people. They do a lot of stuff, but they're not running around, putting out fires all the time. And we delude ourselves often by, the more I do, the more successful I'll be. And that's a real fallacy. Or you get the people that said, well, I'll just read another book, I'll go on another course, and they'll do all this learning, but they never put it into a plan, and they actually never hold themselves accountable to do what they want to do. So as a coach, this is what I do, is help with the goal. I help with the learning and make sure that we're learning the right things. And then we have a plan of what we're going to do, and then we put the plan into action, and the accountability side of working with somebody. Because you'll all know there are times when you run your own business, it's lonely. There's only so much you can talk to the cat. Your other half doesn't really want to listen to all your woes about the business and things. And sometimes you don't want to share that with your other half, because you might be going through a bad patch. The last thing you want to do is worry them about it. So having somebody outside of that can really help with that side of things. So what you've got to start thinking is, okay, my slides seem to have gone doolally. Right, let's get back. So start thinking about your business like it is once it's built. Okay, so you've got to think, it's almost like reverse engineering this and saying, I'm going to start with my business that is £2 million turnover, £1 million turnover, £500,000 turnover. And then I'm going to work backwards and grow into that business. Because if you can't visualize your business once it's done, then how are you going to create it? Everything that's been created in the world today has started with an idea, a vision of what they want to actually build. Edison in his light bulb had this vision of a light bulb. He didn't know how to make it work. He tried 1,000 times, and failed on every single attempt until finally he made it work. But that vision was strong and actually sort of drove him through. So we've got to have this vision of our business, of what it's going to be like when it's done. And you've got to think, at that point in time, I'm not having to work in the business. I am just a shareholder. I'm the shareholder of my business. And as a result, I'm only interested in the dividends and my shareholder value that business can generate. So if you own shares in ICI, you're interested in how much my shares worth and how much dividend do I get. If the shares don't perform over a period of time, then what happens is the shareholders sack the MD and they get a new MD. It's a bit like football teams. If the team doesn't perform, the players don't get sacked. The manager gets sacked, which always has amazed me. If you come to business, if the business isn't performing, who do we normally sack? The players. So it's all about reverse about face with this. So the managing director then is responsible for driving the profit, to make the business as profitable and successful as possible. And the way businesses are valued, I said 3 to 4 times, that's what we call the multiple. So the MD is responsible for the profit and the multiple of this business. In order to achieve that, we need to go out and get leads, and that's the job of the marketing director. So somebody's got to be out there generating leads for your business. Those leads then need to be converted, and that's what we call sales. So that's conversion. And these two together are responsible for the sales of your company. So if you look at your profit and loss account, the top number, the revenue, the sales, is the responsibility of these two people. Once I've got the sales in, then it's handed over to operations. So now I've got to deliver what my sales team have actually promised the customer. And these three together then are responsible for the gross profit in our business. So if I'm the MD of this company and we're not making the profit, and I go to the operations director and say, operations director, why are we not making any money? Who are they going to blame?
Marketing and sales, maybe.
Marketing sales. I said they're over promising, and I can't deliver what they promise. If I go to marketing and sales, they'll blame operations. If I go to sales director and say, why are your sales conversions down? Oh, because marketing's giving me rubbish leads. If I go to leads, they'll turn around and say sales, are not converting the leads I'm giving them. So the managing director, his job is to manage the directors, manage the relationships between these departments. Then we add in the finance director, who's responsible for basically the financial security of the business. So if we think about the accounts, they're responsible for the overheads of the business and the balance sheet, where the money's invested and where it's sitting. And then the HR director, over here, is responsible for the happy people and making sure the longevity of the business. And really, that's the multiple. So the longer the business has the potential to survive, therefore the multiple will go up. So the managing director's got to manage all of these roles, not do them, because that's not what the managing director does. The managing director needs to oversee them and keep them accountable, make sure each of them has got a plan and is actually putting that plan into place and moving towards the goal. Because the first thing is, if the managing director doesn't tell all of these people that we're going to build a £2 million business in the next 10 years, then you can't be surprised that they're not actually moving towards that goal. So if we look at this and go, right, so for Kelly, in your business, okay, you are the shareholder of your business, yeah? Even if it's not a limited company, you're still the stakeholder of your business. Who's the managing director? Who's the managing director in your business? You are, okay? Who's the marketing director? You are. Sales director? You are. Operations director? You are. Finance director? You are. HR director? You are. Okay, and that's why we wonder in a small business is why we don't have enough time.
That's why I'm burnt out.
That's why we're burnt out, because if we stay like this, that's what's going to happen. And how do you keep yourself accountable, to the fact that you're generating leads? And if you're generating leads, are you actually doing the operations? And if you're doing the operations, are you doing the finance? See, in a small business, we have to be a generalist. We have to be, understand all of these. But the problem is, as we grow, if we don't get out of these boxes quick enough, then we provide that glass ceiling. We stop the business from growing because, everything comes back to us. Nothing gets done unless we say. And certainly if you've got any element of control freak about you, and most professional service people do, because, they are the technician, they're the best person to do the job, that we're so busy down here doing a good job that we don't do marketing, we don't do sales, we don't look at the finance, we don't have a people strategy. No one's driving the boat, and we wonder why 10, 15 years goes past and we are no much further forward than where we were 10 years ago. So this is the journey that we're on. And I say it's not for everybody, and you don't have to make that commitment to build a business. You can stay self-employed, but if you're going to do that, then do it. Be self-employed, be very, very efficient, and do things very well. But don't expect to build a massive business by doing that, because the worst thing you can do is go on this journey, and do it badly, because I've seen it happen, and it's not a great place to be if you do that. So that's really who's responsible. So we've got to be visualizing over the next 10 years is what is our team going to look like in order to run this business without. And that's why we do need a £1 million business, because that's a lot of people that we've got to employ just to run the thing. So in the early stages, what we do is we invest time for money. In the latter stages, we invest money for time. Okay, so it's really key that we sort of get this right. So then we've got to look at the profits of the business. So how do we grow the profits in our business? So there's only 5 ways that we can do this. Okay, there's 5 ways that we can build any business. There's actually 6. The 6th is acquisition. We can go and buy another business, but organically, there's 5 ways. Most people think of their business as I need more customers, I need more revenue, I need more profits. But these are results of what's actually happening. Okay, you can't actually affect any of these directly. What you can do, though, is drive more leads. And that's really what comes through marketing. So our marketing strategies to drive leads. Then we can get better at sales. We can get better at conversion. Gavin was saying, you know, I need to improve my conversion rate. I'm seeing enough people, but I need to be able to convert them. So how do I actually convert those clients? Yeah, and then I've got to make sure my clients come back to me more often. So number of transactions. So how do I get them to come back? And then when they do come back, how do I get them to spend a bit more? How do I upgrade them? How do I get them to do what I call the McDonald's of a business, which is, do you want fries with that? What else can I sell to my existing clients to get a little bit more revenue from each one? Because it's 6 times easier to sell to an existing client than it is to go and get a new client. And then I've got to become as profitable as I can and increase my margins in order to actually drive my profits forwards. So these are the only 5 things that we can influence: leads, conversion, transactions, average transaction value, and our margins. And if we look at this and we build this into our plan, then you can start to see how we can get really good growth by small improvements, small marginal gains. So if I take a typical sort of, you know, small professional service business, we might have 4,000 inquiries coming in during the year. Okay, and we convert, let's say, 1 in 4 of those, 25%. So that gives us 1,000 customers. They buy from us twice a year, so two billable events twice a year, and they spend on average £100. So that would give us a turnover of £200,000, a margin. Let's say we make the 25% target. That gives us a £50,000 profit. So that's probably where I would say most of you can get your business pretty much working on your own. Okay, so in that self-employed box, you should be able to get to somewhere between 100 and 200,000, you know, with a bit of outsourcing and a bit of sort of, you know, support around your finances and marketing, investing in other people into those. So this gives us a 50,000. Now, if we wanted to build £1 million asset portfolio and we stayed at that side, how long would that take us, Gavin?
So I need to get used to the taking mute.
So if I'm
So
making
you wanna-
50,000 profit per year and I want
Yeah.
to build £1 million asset portfolio to be financially free, how long will it take us?
Isn't that 20 years?
20 years.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's not going to be 20 years, is it? Because out of that 50,000, what have I got to do?
What, increase the profit?
No,
Each
no.
year,
If I just stayed small, if I just stayed as self-employed, making £50,000 a year, out of my
Yeah.
50,000, can I invest all of my £50,000?
You've got to pay yourself.
I've got to pay myself. I've got to pay the bills. Okay, so out of 50,000, what do you think I could save? You know, how much of my 50,000 each year could I save if I was being cautious?
Is this, sorry, so are we looking at, is this like a self-employed person?
Yeah, self-employed.
or-
Yeah. So if I'm self-employed and
Yeah.
I'm making £50,000 a year income,
Oh,
Yeah.
I get you, yeah.
and I've got to live, I've got to pay the mortgage, you know, I've got to eat, look after the
Yeah.
family. How
I
much
think
of
I've heard
that
that you
could
you
I
try and
invest?
save about anywhere between, if possible, 10 or 20% or whatever it is you earn.
Yeah.
Is that a bit? Yeah.
But let's say 10%, because I think with
10,
50
yeah.
grand, you know, you still want to have some decent life. So let's say you could save 10%, so that's 5,000. So how
Yeah.
long would it take you to earn £1 million?
You'd be dead by the time you get to
Exactly.
for that.
You're never
Yeah.
going to do it. You're never
Yeah.
going to achieve. Therefore, you've either got to reduce your sites and go, actually, okay, well, I'll make do. Yeah. Or we've got to do something about it. And this is really what this is here to show you. So if we go on that, right, we're going to build this business. We're going to drive this forwards. So I'm going to invest time, because that's what you have. You don't have money. You've got to invest time at this stage in my marketing. So, and I'm going to grow my marketing, and I'm going to grow my leads by 10%. So if I increase my leads by 10%, Gavin, 4,000 becomes
4,000 comes 4,400.
4,400. Yeah,
10%.
cool. And I grow my conversion rate by 10%.
Yeah, 440.
No,
sorry, by 10%. Yeah, 27.5%.
27.5%. Cool. And therefore, if I'm growing everything by 10%, my customers, 1,000 becomes.
Well, in theory, it should be 1,100.
Should be 1,100, but it's not, is it? Because of
No,
compound.
because the way compounding works. So it'd be
10% on 10% now gives a 21% increase in my customers.
Yeah.
So if I increase my transaction, so I get customers to come back more often, so I've got a strategy to do that. Yeah, we increase that to 2.2. If I get them to spend a bit more, that's 110. Yeah, and the multiplier that I'll save your embarrassment on that one, Gavin.
Yeah.
So that's a 46% increase. If I can increase my margins and become more profitable, then that's a 61% increase. So suddenly, just by focusing on these 5 ways and increasing by 10%, not massive, therefore I can increase by 61%. Now, if I can do that in year 2 and do the same again in year 3, year 4, by year 5, guess what? I've actually built a £1.3 million business making £500,000 profit with my 4 times multiple is 2 million quid. Just by doing 10%, 10% on 10% on 10% on 10%. Now, this is theoretical, and you're not going to be able to increase all of these. You may not be able to increase your margins all the way to 40%. Yeah, but the concept is still there. That if we can focus on that growth and have strategies around each of these, my lead generation strategies, my conversion rate strategies, and we can apply that consistently, then this is where we get the growth. So my £50,000 is 10x'd up to the 500,000. So if we start thinking like a business owner and saying, right, have I got the best marketing? Have I got the best sales? Have I got the best account management? I've got nothing really to do with delivery. Yes, I still need the best delivery, and I need to be efficient in my delivery to maintain these margins. Yeah. But if I start thinking like a managing director and managing my team, then we can achieve this. Okay. Or we have to sort of stay, right, I need another strategy if I'm going to stay down here. So if I know I can grow my profits, so whether it's 50 to 500, whether it's 50 to 100, whatever that might be, the other thing that we need to do is think about the multiple, because if I can increase the multiple, I can have a lower profit figure, but multiplied by a bigger number. And if you think about the big numbers is when you sell to a PLC, a publicly listed company, because the average publicly listed company trades for 15 times their profit. It's called the price earnings ratio. So the average listed company is a P ratio of 15. Okay, so in our speak, it's 15 times multiple. The average small company sells for 2.7 times multiple. And this is where the likes of private equity people, venture capitalists come in, because they take the small ones, they buy at 3 and they sell at 7. They buy at 7 and sell at 15. Okay, so the big fish eats, or the small fish gets eaten by a bigger fish, But that's another game beyond where we are at the moment. But what we can do is maximize that multiple. So rather than selling for 2 times, so we bought a business in July, been trading for 15 years. And I paid less than 1 times multiple of profit. Okay, I've basically paid for that company in the first 6 months of its trading. Okay, and that was a business was down to self-employed that was just run that way. We're automating it, we're simplifying it. Our vision then is to grow it, increase the multiple, and sell it for 2, 3, 4 times its profit. Okay, so this is what can happen. Yeah, and if you don't do it, somebody else will probably do it for you. So how do we grow the multiple? Well, there's 4 areas which we have to work on. Yeah. The first one is you need to have a really clear niche and unit USP. Okay. If you're the same as everybody else, why would I buy your business over somebody else's business? If you offer something unique, yeah, and has a real niche in the marketplace, then it has a higher value. Okay. So if you look at Tesla has a massive value because it has a massive USP and a massive niche. Yeah, if you're just the same as everybody else, I'm not saying you won't have value, but you won't maximize the value. You've got to have the best people, and you've got to have you can't have a business that everyone's running around, in chaos. I've looked at businesses to buy that have been like that, and I've walked away because they can't run without the business owner. If I buy a business and the business owner's stuck in it, yeah, then what's going to happen? I'm not going to come in and buy a business that I have to work in. I'm going to buy a business that works without the business owner. So we've got to get the people and make sure it's not reliant on you. Then we've got to look at systems and technology. We've got to use the systems and technology that's around and about, okay, to actually build systems. So Gavin, who's left, accounting systems like Xero really automate things. We can go up to levels of SAP, which is, I've got one client that we installed that 5 years ago, and it's revolutionized how the business runs. And then we've got to really understand our numbers. We've really got to be in touch of our numbers, and our KPIs have got to be strong, sound, and sort of green in every area. So, Osman seems to have arrived a little late. Hi, Osman.
Hi.
Yeah. You're a little late.
Please carry on. Sorry, a little bit late, but please carry on. Yeah.
We started at 4, so but good to have you along. So I have recorded it, Osman. So I'll let you have the recording. So don't worry about that.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Oops. So we've got to have those 4 key areas. Those are the things that we need to focus on to actually build this business that works without us. And uniqueness. Yeah, how do you stand out? People and time mastery. You've got to build a team of people around you. Now, they don't have to be employed. You can build a business of subcontractors. You won't get the biggest value if they're subcontractors because there's no tie to your business, but it can help with profitability. So you've got to make that, do I go for profit or do I go for multiple? So there's 2 ways to actually sort of focus on that one. The other thing you've got to think about is what I call this entrepreneur's ladder, is where we sit, and the further up here we go, the more money that we can actually make. And it's quite shocking, it's quite interesting to see how this works. So if you think about the typical student, they think about one day ahead. How do I get through today? So if you've got kids at school, at college, they're not thinking about next week, next year. You're trying to make them do that, but they're very much stuck in the day to day. And for these guys, they don't earn any money. As a student, you are a cost to society. You're not making any actually money from it. Then you go and get a job, and the typical employee will think about 1 week ahead. They'll think about, how do I get to the end of the week? And these guys are going to be earning, now minimum wage has gone up, so minimum wage can be about £12.50 an hour. Once I move up to the next level and I start managing people, then I should be thinking more than a month ahead, Okay, I should be able to plan at least a month. I should be looking at the operation of the business and deciding, who's on holiday, who should be coming in, who should be going. And a manager is going to be paid, up to sort of 20 pounds, 25 pounds an hour, because they have that ability to think further ahead. As a director, you've got to take that even further and be thinking a year ahead. So a strategic plan for your department, for your department for the year. And a director should be earning 30 pounds an hour. Okay, so 50, 60,000 a year. Then the managing director should be thinking up to about 5 years ahead. So they should have the bigger picture strategic plan for their business. And a managing director will be earning 100,000 pounds a year. Once we get to the business owner should be thinking 5 to 10 years ahead. Where do I want my business to be? But as an owner, you don't actually work in your business. So this tie between time for money suddenly disappears. So you're getting dividends and share value growth based on a few hours a week, a few hours a month. And then when you become an investor, so I invest in stocks and shares. I do no work on that whatsoever, yet it returns me thousands of pounds a year. So my hourly rate from that is in the thousands of pounds a year. And then as a true entrepreneur, you're actually thinking beyond your lifetime. So the likes of Bill Gates, Elon Musk are not thinking about what they can earn in their lifetime. They're thinking about what legacy do they leave behind. And they're earning, tens, I think Elon Musk's bonus was 59 billion. And he said, I need to be paid that, not because I need 59 billion, it's because of the principle of the thing. We agreed to play the game. The result of me playing the game was you would pay me this and you need to pay me this. So it's not about the money anymore. It's just about the game that we play. So, for all of us, but, Kelly, as being on every rung of this ladder, the more time you spend up here, okay, the more time you spend on these areas, okay, the more money you make. If all you're doing is delivering, then all you're ever going to earn is this. So if we are looking to build our firms up, therefore we've got to start thinking like a director, like a managing director, like an owner. And that's why I say that's where the coaching comes in, is to help you sort of be at this level. Because my job for a lot of my clients is, for some of them I sit here and they sit here. Some of them I sit here and they sit here. Some of them I sit here, they sit here. Very often they sit here and I sit here. But that's not really where either of us want to play. I'm not here to sort of manage you. At least I want to be at this level, becoming your managing director, while you are the sales director, the marketing director, the operations director. But eventually we want to actually employ people so that you sit here and then I sit here as the owner, helping you to to make sure that we are managing these people correctly. So the key to building a great team is we've got to learn how to recruit people. We've got to how to induct people, motivate people, manage people, delegate people, and discipline people. These are skills that most of us as technicians, don't have. We haven't been through the hard yards of doing all these jobs in order to build a successful team. One of the first businesses I worked in, when I was a FD, we grew to 400 people in 4 years. So we learned very quickly how to do this badly. We made so many mistakes in those 4 years, that it was unbelievable. So you either learn through making massive mistakes, or you learn from other people that have made those mistakes and say, don't do this because it doesn't work. So the more we can learn how to do things properly by not making the mistakes, the quicker we can go, because doing it by trial and error takes a long time and is very costly in time and in money. Systems and technology, we've got to invest in in our business. We've got to invest in people, we've got to invest in equipment, we've got to invest in, you know, whatever we do. So those first few years of a business is we're constantly reinvesting our profits in our business. So rather than putting the money into stocks and shares, you know, that if we're making 50,000, that 10,000 that we make, yeah, we invest back into the business. But what we've got to be able to do is say, I've invested in something that generates me more money, either a person that generates me money, a computer that generates me money, rather than just chucking money back into a business, into this big black hole, and then at the end of the year going, well, I'm no better off than I was on day one. So, and we've got to systemize our business. We've got to really break it down into its component parts. So again, sales and marketing, we should be building a CRM system. You know, build it yourself, or there's plenty of CRM systems out there that we can actually use. For finance and admin, you know, Gavin's a great believer in Sage. All my companies are on Sage, on Xero. Yeah, it just makes life so much easier. It can be automated. It can be easily delegated then when it's outsourced. Operations, you know, do we need an MRP system, an ERP system? Systems like Monday from Planday. These are all systems that can help us automate and systemize our businesses. And then for HR, you know, for the people side, there's, you know, there are things like Summit, Breathe HR. There's systems that can help us with a whole managing a team of people. So we've got to be thinking about investing in all of these, and it's far better to build them as we grow rather than growing and then suddenly thinking, oh my God, now I've got to convert, because that will take, again, a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of money. And then the final one is, you know, and Gavin will resonate with this one, is finance mastery. Is, you know, finances are the scorecard of your business. Yeah, if you don't keep the score, then how do you know how well you're playing? So the minimums are, you've got to have an accounts package, which should produce you monthly profit and loss accounts, monthly balance sheets that you actually look at, you understand, you read them, aged debtors and creditors to make sure you've got your cash flow forecasts in place, and you've got annual budgets that help you to move forwards, and then key performance indicators. So the key parts of your business, you know, those business that you want to improve, you should measure. We've already seen on the 5 ways. Are we measuring the leads that we generate, our conversion rate, our number of transactions? If we're not measuring those, how do we know what we're doing is working or not working? So the more that we measure, the more that we focus on, the more can actually get proved. And it's not about big wins. You know, again, what I showed you there with the 5 ways, the 10% on 10%, these are marginal gains. Yeah, we're playing here, we're running a marathon here. This is not about a sprint race. If we give ourselves 10 years, it's amazing what you can achieve in 10 years. Yeah, but we can get very frustrated that we want it to happen tomorrow. And for many of these things, it's not going to happen tomorrow. So by measuring, we can keep a track of it over a period of time so that we don't lose focus on what we're actually trying to achieve. So I've run over a little bit. I wanted to try and keep it to just sort of around about the hour. So so to summarize, you know, the first thing we've got to do is work out why you want to grow a business. Do you want to grow a business? Yeah, and if you don't want to grow a business, then how are we going to achieve that financial freedom doing it another way? Okay, so the ability to be able to do that. Once we've decided we are going to do that, then we've got to create that goal and set the goal and then put a plan together. And I say we've got to reverse engineer this business. So we've got to say, right, what's it going to look like in 10 years' time, and then work backwards. And when I've done this with clients, I've done 2 or 3, probably more than that over the years, where after going through that process, they've decided they don't want a business. So I've actually coached them out of growing a business, because the last thing they wanted to do was actually have a team of 15 people. It just didn't appeal to them. So we came up with another strategy. This one was involving property, to actually take the money that we make out of their consultancy business and buy properties, and then use their skills to actually buy, build, and sell properties. So it doesn't matter which way we do it. You know, I've got one client who's doing it through cryptocurrency. You know, understand a word of cryptocurrency, so it's not my bag to help him on that, but that's the route he chose because he enjoys that. Yeah, I've got properties, I don't enjoy them, I buy businesses. So my route to this is buying and selling businesses. So focus on your 5 ways to increase your profits. Really get into those strategies, and we've got books on that. You know, there's 340 ways you can actually grow your business through those 5 strategies. You've got to understand what they are. Really understand what your USP and niche is. This does take a bit of work. Sometimes it comes like that. Sometimes it develops over time. Sometimes the business you're in isn't the business that's going to make you money. You know, it might be something that comes out as a result of this. So I've pivoted a number of businesses over the years away from what they started into something that has this USP and has that ability to grow and you know, have its own niche. We've got to understand how to start building a team, you know, and what that team is going to look like, where we're going to find these people, and to make sure that we actually systemize the business going forwards. And obviously, you know, measure and improve everything, you know, constantly tweaking. There's a great book called How to Make the Boat, or Does It Make the Boat Go Faster? And it's all about the Olympic rowing team that they do everything, and if it didn't make the boat go faster, they didn't do it. But they tried a lot of things. You know, they try it. You know, Elon Musk is, you know, fail fast. You know, try it, doesn't work, move on, do something differently. Oops. And you know, really think about that. Start with the end in mind. Really have that vision of where you want to go to. So if you do want some help on this, yeah, then what I can do is help you sit down, take a bit of time out of the business, the day-to-day, set those goals and formulate the plan. It might be that, you know, you want a bit of education around one of the 5 ways about systemizing. So we've got sort of growth and improvement stuff, or you've got the clarity, you've got the plan, and you just want that support, focus, and accountability. These are the key things that coaching brings. So, and you know, I know I'm not asking you to sort of, you know, buy from me now. This is really just about an introduction and hope to make you think. But if you do want to spend, you know, an hour with me to calculate your financial freedom figure, to look at these potential sort of strengths and weaknesses of the business and how we're going to achieve that growth, and then, you know, if you are interested in taking it further, then we can come up with a coaching program that might suit what you're trying to actually achieve. But a lot of people, I say to people, look, no one needs coaching. Yeah, they want to achieve a goal, and they say that, you know, having somebody alongside them for the journey is going to be beneficial. I've just had one client started probably where you are. You know, he was turning over around about 100,000 a year. He's just let me know that last month he did 100,000 in turnover in 1 month. And that's after 2 years. So it is possible, you know, but again, it's your goals, your decisions of where you want this business to be in 5, 10, 20 years time. Yeah, that's the bit that you need to bring to the table. So thank you very much for your time. It has been a bit of a whistle stop tour. Are there any questions? Anybody like to pick my brains while you've got them?
I think, hello, can you hear me, Kevin?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the issue is in terms of trying to generate leads. So it seems to be, like you said, trial and error, doesn't it? Because I'm paying a company at the moment to do all the Google ads, and I haven't even had one lead. Okay. And it's like the 2nd or the 3rd month now.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. So I think that's part of what the issue in terms of it's great. I wish I was in Eddie's situation where you literally go and you've got too many customers. That would be the dream.
Yeah.
But I think it's more of a case of how do you start in the first place, given that you're paying money to what you deem trusted professionals to do this sort of skill for you, and there's no return whatsoever.
The big thing I've learned this the hard way, having invested, you know, God knows how much money in marketing, is there is no trusted professionals in marketing.
Yeah.
Okay. Marketing, 50% of marketing's wasted. Yeah. Your job is to find out which 50% works.
Yeah.
So it really is. It's test and measure. You've got to try it. You've got to find different ways to do it, because what works for you won't work for Kelly. What works for Kelly won't work for Eddie. You know, the difficulty you've got is there's lots of accountants.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you don't have that niche and that USP, then you don't stand out to anybody. So if you were the accountant for tradespeople, because you understand tradespeople, then you could market to tradespeople and say, look, is your accountant useless? He doesn't understand trades. I understand trades, therefore I am the trades accountant. Now you have a niche. Okay. Now you can then target your market. You can put your budget into a smaller pot and get a better return. The danger when you don't have a niche, is your spend goes so thin that it's never going to be effective. Okay, so it's finding, and you can have as many niches as you want, but you've got to find something where your pound of money goes into marketing gives you £2 back. Because if you can find that, that's the holy grail. Then you can spend as much money as you want on marketing. And then it's a bit like Eddie is, you're hanging on for dear life, trying to get the operations up to speed to actually deliver on what is actually coming through the door. And I've got clients that now they turn on and the marketing, turn it up and turn it down depending on how much capacity they've got to do the work, because they've found the system that works for them. So, but really good question, thank you. So, Kelly, any questions from you?
No, I'm okay at the moment.
Okay.
I'm kind of just having a rejig and a relaunch. So yeah, but I've taken a lot on.
So what was the biggest thing what was the biggest thing you got out of today then? What's your biggest takeaway?
I think for me was redefining why I want to be in business and my why, because that's more important because it's changed. So
often it does, Kelly. It's and you've got to, even if you set it, you've got to come back to it on a regular basis. I've changed mine probably half a dozen times over the past 20 years. The older we get, different circumstances, it changes. Changed big time with COVID for me. And I made some big changes during that. And that's the beauty. When you run your business, it can be whatever it needs to be. You don't have to ask somebody's permission. You can actually go and do it. But often when you have too many choices, that then causes you to do nothing.
Well, in my industry, I've been using quite a lot of technology for measuring, and it's growing exponentially. So much like, all the Teslas and things like that. We've got an industry that's really growing, and mental health is really sort of here, and we can really help people with that. So I'm kind of trying to catch up because I've been doing a lot of learning, but it's about time to sort of put that learning on the page now.
Put it into action.
In the bank account.
I'll put that slide on there. There you go. That's just for you, Kelly.
Absolutely.
Natasha,
well, I'm booked onto the 2-week course that's online with Rebel Business Skills. This is where I got your name from.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, just to give me that boost.
Yeah, perfect. Natasha?
No questions. It's just giving me a lot to think about, really. It's just, this, I've been through some of this stuff with you before.
Yeah.
You get stuck in and sometimes you just need to be taken back there to think about it again, because it's not one of those things you do and done. It's something you need to.
You're always coming back to it, always questioning,
always
am I on the right journey? Is this still what I want? Is it worth the sacrifice? Because that's anything good in life, you have to sacrifice something else. If you want to be the number one tennis player in the world, you have to give up eating McDonald's. It's just the way it is.
No, you're right, and that's what it comes down to. Where's that line?
Yeah.
Where are you unwilling to go with your sacrifice?
Yeah, and sometimes you need somebody to ask you those hard questions that are difficult to, certainly where you're working with a partner as well, and there's a personal relationship and a business relationship that causes, other issues. You haven't worked with my wife now for over 10 years, and I've sacked her 3 times, so
Yeah, been there. No, yeah, it is. It's finding out that, because we do the consultancy, but as you know, I do mental health training. So I'm very big on the work-life balance. We got to work it out. We got to work it out, and sometimes we just still slip.
Yeah. Cool, good. Eddie, what about you? What's any questions or your biggest takeaway from today?
So I think if we go back to the 5 ways, I think the equation is slightly different for me, because it doesn't matter how many more customers you have. I currently can't service anymore. So I have been transitioning of late, and it's been quite successful, from selling time, day rate, to selling outcomes. And then signing people up for a period of time and saying over that time, it would traditionally have been X number of days. That equates to X pounds, which then becomes direct debit, and a 12-month or 18-month commitment from people, which is going quite well. And then you're not having to worry about logging time sheets, etc. And then all of a sudden you can actually manage more clients. So I'm moving into that, and just trialing that at the moment. But we really are at the point where we've got more business, and business begets more business, because we get referred, we give good service, and everyone recommends us on. So
and as Gavin said, that's where a lot of people wish to be. I think you're key now.
It's not great fun when you get there.
I'd say it's
a different set of issues.
Everyone else's business and goes, "Oh, I wish I had a business like yours," and it's just a different set of issues. 100% right.
Problems.
But I think the key for you, is, look, you've got the ability here for growth, because if you could service all of those customers, you would increase your revenues. You've got to decide what's the goal. Am I going to build a team of people that are going to deliver this? I definitely think, taking it away from time for money into time for results, because you can escalate your hourly rate that way quite nicely. But if you're going to do that, you have to have systems and controls. Otherwise, you end up losing money, because you take 10 times longer to do something, or somebody else takes 10 times longer to do it than you would.
Yeah, we've invested a lot of time and quite a reasonable amount of cash into systems. We've got them right now. We're building on platforms that would allow me to bring in other people.
That's it. So the key is mastery is the first level, so control of everything. Second one is growth. Can I get the 5 ways working, which you clearly have? The third way then is to build the systems, and then the fourth is to build the team. So you're in that transition now from the self-employed business, where it's time for money, into systems and people, where I'm actually going to build a business. But that's why I say you've got to have that vision of what is it you're going to build. Otherwise, you're going to hold yourself back, because you won't commit to taking on that extra person.
It's a leap of faith, because the sort of person I need to take on is an expensive hire.
Yeah.
And you put a lot of your own intellectual property at risk, don't you?
Exactly. There's risks that come with it, but that's why the rewards, you've got to be happy that the rewards are worth it for the risks you're going to take. And that's sort of, probably my passing words to you guys is, look, as professional service, you've got a hell of a lot of skill, a hell of a lot of knowledge, so, it's how do you turn that into something that is going to give you the return that you're after. So, and I said, building a business is not for everybody, and fine, if that's not what you want to do. But if it is, then you've got to learn the building skills, how to build a business, as much as you do the technical knowledge of what's got you here. Because most of you've got at least 10 years experience in the technical job. You're going to have to gain 10 years experience in actually growing a business. And that's really where coaching comes in. Is my job is to accelerate that knowledge, because I've got 7 businesses now, and I've helped 300 odd over 20 years to grow. There's not much that crops up that I haven't come across at some stage in my life. So that's that wealth of knowledge, that data bank that I can share with you on that journey. So look, if you do want to see me, please drop me an email, and I'll send you a sort of book a call, just an introductory call, just to talk it through. But if you want to go on your own way, that's fine. If you do come across anyone that's in the same position, please send them my way. And if there's anybody that would benefit from seeing what you've seen today, I'll quite happily send the recording. So I will send you all the recording as well. And those that are watching this online, please, that offer is open to you as well. And but I wish you all the success in your journey. And I'm here if you need me. So take care. Enjoy your evening.
Bye.
See you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.